illumination. Wow. So where did it all begin? How did it all begin? After the first incident, I didn't have the trauma bonds that I came to have later with him. I didn't have that bonds with him yet. It was actually easier then to walk away. So basically, yeah, this is my room. There's my messy bed that I didn't make today. And this is basically the shared living space. And when I moved in here, was living here. Anyway, that's my roommate's room, the one that Devi's coming out of, the cat. It looks really cluttered and messy, and it is. Back in that area back there, that's basically where John had set up shop and was staying temporarily. Although he had, I don't know, he'd been here a solid 2 months or so prior to me moving in. I moved in here on February 7th, so just about a year ago. And my actual roommate was never here. So John and I were spending a fair amount of time together. There's definitely details in that first, those first month, 2 months together that are important, you know, just because I was very open and vulnerable with him during that time, and he often got me to stay out here in the living room area and have dinner with him. So I enjoyed having my evenings basically to myself. But I was, you know, finding like that I was enjoying John's company too, and he would often have dinner made or something like that. And, you know, so I'd end up eating with him and talking with him and sharing a lot of personal details about my life. So right out of the gate, he was getting access to a lot of, you know, vulnerabilities of mine. And so him and I were first romantic together toward the end of March. Then there was like a solid week, maybe week and a half, where we were not romantic with each other. And this was after initially we were romantic with each other for a couple of days. So John had broke it off with me pretty immediately, like within the first couple of days. I did talk about this in the first video, how I just accepted that at the time. You know, it was like, okay, so if this person doesn't want to be romantic with me and we live together, you know, definitely not going to make us stink over that, so we're just gonna let that go. And so I accepted it, and it was, you know, fine, like, okay. It's unfortunate for reasons I also go into that first video. I don't want to keep repeating, you know, but it was unfortunate because I really liked him and I saw, you know, the possibility of a relationship with him, even though I really didn't feel like pursuing a relationship in general at that time. I was willing to for him, because there were a lot of things that I felt like, wow, this is the person that I want to be with next. And as you see in that first video, I had also, so after John broke it off with me, you know, I went on a date with somebody else that I had been getting to know just on a friendship level, but there was an attraction between us. And, you know, no one's to blame. The fact that I happened to also meet and get to know somebody else around the same time a little bit. But if John and I had continued that initial romantic interaction and connection straight through, and he didn't break it off after a couple of days, I wouldn't have gone out on a date a week later. And the funny thing is, like, you know, funny thing, whatever, you know, he always held that against me and held that over my head, and, you know, gave me all of these qualities that were not necessarily my qualities, because of that one thing. So like, for example, I haven't been with anybody, nor have I gone on a date, nor have I even been interested in any way, shape, or form for any of that since him and I last saw each other, since the final ending on December, 9th, 8th or 9th. And it's, February 5th now. So, like, just because the timing was such that around that same time, at the very beginning of our romantic interaction with each other, I had also met somebody else. What can I say? Timing, right? That's not necessarily always the case for me. So, I'll go long stretches of time without dating anybody, or without being in a relationship, without being physical, intimate with anybody. So the fact that he immediately and always connected the fact that I went out on this date with this other person with this idea that I was somebody who went through a lot of men and dated a lot of men, and oh God, just it's so tiresome to even like think about that again. But all that stuff that comes with that, and that insecurity and those jealousies, and which you can empathize with and work with. I understood so much of why John was the way he was, and I was extremely empathetic and loving towards him and gentle. Yet, it didn't make a difference. So I just got stomped on. My love was stomped on and thrown in my face. This is really choppy. So I went on a date with this other person. And then I went on a second date with this other person. And after that second date, it was pretty clear to me, that, we weren't gonna like pursue anything together for various reasons. And I had liked John, and had he wanted to pursue something with me, I wouldn't have even gone on the second date with that other person. In fact, I wouldn't have gone on the first date with that other person, because I knew what I did want to pursue with John. Whatever. Week and a half later, John, one Thursday night, he suddenly wanted to be with me again, and I didn't know if he just wanted to be intimate that night or what. But he was being very affectionate and warm with me. And this was, after what should really be the first incident, which I talk about in that first video, when I came home one night after that first date with that guy, and John was like up waiting for me and like basically cornered me and started antagonizing me and demanding information from me. Watch that first video, because that should be the first incident. But I'm not using that or considering that as the first incident because, well, I already talked about it in the first video and it put it in a context. And also because him and I were not like dating at that point, like officially dating, so to speak, which is why I say a week and a half or so later, when he came around again and was like basically like wanting to be intimate with me, and we were intimate together, and obviously, and that's basically when we started dating. So now we're in early April, and this is the best portion of our relationship. For about 3 weeks, or close to 3 weeks, thereabouts, we pretty much had smooth sailing. It was very lovely and just a beautiful time. Looking back, I could tell you that I was always definitely like trying to get us back to that time. So the first incident, let's get there already. So about 3 weeks in, This is around Earth Day. My weekend had arrived, and him and myself and our other roommate we're gonna hang out that Friday night. Both of them had approaching birthdays, so our other roommate was going to have a little birthday celebration at a different house. So we were gonna go there and we were gonna have a little birthday celebration for these two fellows. That was gonna be Sunday, yeah, and this was Friday. So Friday evening, we're all hanging out, we're listening to music, we're having some food, you know, we're having some drinks. This is before I realized that John is very bad with alcohol. Things just go downhill quickly with alcohol in him, and he's a strange character when he's using alcohol. Anyway, so the night progresses. He is seems to be okay, but apparently is harboring secret anger and hatred and jealousies toward both our roommate and myself regarding the weirdest things, like, of the evening. Like, he said at one point in time that the roommate and I were laughing behind his back about, if anything, John and I said this to him at the time, I was like, if anything, you and I were the ones chuckling, giggling behind our roommate's back, because you and I had been hanging out a lot together and had created a bond together, and we were, you know, really enjoyed the same music to a very large extent, and we were listening to music, and we're having like kind of like a music, you know, duel between us and our roommate, who kept wanting to listen to something different, like a different genre. And yeah, so we were just kind of like cackling over it. Anyway, he's all enraged about something secretly that he says we were laughing at. I have no idea. And other things throughout the night, little things that have just added up. Reasons why, you know, we're bad people, basically. And he let all of these things that are still not clear to any of us, just sort of fester under his skin. And then we go to bed, and I'm awoken at 3 o'clock in the morning by a person who is stomping around, enraged, tearing the couch cushions off of the couch, like in a frenzy, just ripping everything off of the couches. And I come out of the bedroom, and the other roommate is fast asleep. He doesn't, oh, God, that's right, there's something else. The other roommate had taken a bath earlier in the evening, like later in the evening, when we were in bed already. Him and I were in bed, John and I were already in bed, and I had come out of the bedroom to do something. Maybe I was going to the bathroom, maybe I was getting water. Those were like the two likely things if I was already in bed. And the other roommate was sitting on the couch, if I remember correctly, and my memory could be off, but regardless, he was like not fully covered. And so, you know, there was like an unintentional flash of the naked body, and because he had come out of the bath quite recently, and, you know, he was just in his towel. So anyway, so I made a mention to it in passing when I got back to the bedroom to John. And again, it was like in an innocuous way. Like, it was harmless and innocuous. I wasn't like poking fun or rubbing anything in his face or telling him that, oh, look what I got to see and I liked it. Nothing like that. In fact, if anything, I was already getting a sense of this person, and I was informing him ahead of time of something that I witnessed, so that I wasn't blamed for it down the road when it came up that I saw the roommate, you know, naked for a second, coming out of the bath. And, you know, so I was like preemptively often giving him information, which always bit me in the ass. So, right, fast forward back to that 3 a.m. rage. So this is the first time I saw him having a rage attack. And, you know, like I said, he's like tearing all the cushions off the couches and everything. And he's like stomping around. He's like opening drawers and looking for something. And I don't know what the hell he's doing. Somehow I managed to calm him down and coax him back to bed. And I'm putting everything back in the living room here. And he goes back to bed. Wake up in the morning. Get up in the morning. And apparently he had, you know, asked me to get coffee, and I didn't get coffee. I suppose I forgot to get the coffee. So, well, he goes to make coffee, and we're extremely low on coffee. And he flips the fuck out and starts yelling at me egregiously about what you know, what an idiot I am, and that, you know, how I didn't get the coffee, blah blah blah. And thank God for the roommate, because thank God for him, because he had gotten coffee, and oh, thank God for him, or we wouldn't have any coffee. Anyways, going off, and I was just like stunned. I remember standing there and looking at the roommate. Who acts like this? Who acts like this? Because it was the first time I had seen that kind of behavior before. So I was in no, whoa mode, like, Oops.